Hey, guess what? Today, we're starting a new song. Woo! Everybody say it with me. Woo! A new song. I don't know why I always forget to shut that door until after I'm going. Yes, finally, in the last episode, we finished our first draft mix of track number 1, Poison in the Well, which means we are now into track 2, which is the title track for this album, Boundless. So, gosh, am I excited to actually get started on this today. So excited that we're actually getting into this one. Let's not waste too much time with opening statements. Switching over to the main screen. Awesome. Okay, now I did do some stuff off stream because routing is boring. Routing is a lot of just me clicking stuff and trying to fill the space by talking. So I went ahead and off stream finished the routing for this so that we can just jump right into it now that we're started. So it's the only thing that's been done that you guys have not seen is I finished putting all of our Poison in the Well presets onto this stuff so that we can start there. Everything else should be working. Looks as though it is. All right, you guys know the drill. If you are in the chat, tell me you're here. Let's conversate a little bit. I appreciate anybody tuning in and checking out what's going on here. Now, we did listen to this in the last episode. If you were here at the end of the last episode, we checked out what I call the tracking mix, which is just to say that this is what we listened to while we were tracking. I'm putting on, basic stuff, maybe EQs, a bit of compression, maybe some reverb or something, so that the song can sound pretty good while we're tracking. And also, during the tracking phase, I can be exporting that mix and sending it to the band members so everybody's kind of updated on what's been done, and they can also kind of experience the song evolving as more and more parts get put on. So the tracking mix is something that we pretty much get rid of immediately when we're actually mixing so that we can start doing the real context mix. Right now, the only thing that is on is the bass drum and the 3 snare tracks, and they are, again, at the same volume that they were in the Poison in the Well mix. We're going to start by using those same volume settings. We're going to assume that the volume settings used for Poison in the Well are going to work again in Boundless, and we're going to move from there. So if we press play right now, we should still hear the bass drum and the snare drum, and we should also still hear them with the radio effects on. Let's check and make sure that's true. Okay, so a couple of other things that we did here there that kind of glad that we checked that out. So there's a backward cymbal we're going to go ahead and turn down, although I bet I know why that came up. I think there is already some volume automation going on here. Okay, there wasn't on the overhead or the backward cymbal. I just forgot to turn that off. So we've got a little bit of automation on the drums master and the radio effect, which is fine. There's a little bit of automation right here on these 2 backwards guitars, which fade in at the end of that little modern section there. I think we're good to leave most of this as is for now. We're probably going to adjust. Now, I noticed that already this was peaking above -7, and we want to keep that kind of tame. So let's go ahead and turn our radio effect down just a hair, just so we can try and keep that at -7. I haven't messed with the peak meters, right? Yes. All right, yeah, so our drums themselves weren't hitting anywhere near -7, so we're doing good on that. Okay, so first step now is to get our context mix. Now, this is going to go slightly differently than it did with Poison in the Well because we're starting with all of the effects that we put on things in Poison in the Well. Keeping in mind, we may not keep them. Just because we use them in one song does not mean we have to use them in all of the songs, but we're going to start from there in the hopes that we're kind of starting from a better place. and then we can use the context to go back. So right now we've got bass drum, snare drum on. Those guitars are going to still jump in there, but we're going to start turning tracks up bit by bit until we can hear everything fairly well and get a good context so that we can start making better informed decisions on how everything should sound. Okay, so first thing that we are going to mess with for our context mix is our overhead channels, which are the last ones over here on the mixer view. This 5, 6, 7, and 8 are our 4 overhead mics. I should mention again, since we're in the beginning of a new song, in case, again, you are new here, that this is a fully real acoustic drum set played by Eli, our drummer. No samples here. This is 100% no samples. This is all real acoustic drums in this performance. In this setup, we have one bass drum with a double pedal mic'd. We had a snare drum, 3 rack toms, 2 floor toms, and then an array of different cymbals mic'd with 4 mics. A hi-hat mic, a ride cymbal mic, and then a stereo pair of overheads hanging up over top. I do mix in drummer's perspective instead of audience perspective, so we'll hear the hi-hat in the left and the ride cymbal in the right. Let's go ahead and start putting some stuff in. I'm talking so much now, by the way, because I'm not going to talk, or at least my plan is that I will not talk until the context mix is finished. So we're just going to keep on adding stuff until everything's in there. One second here, just a quick pause. I've always noticed this in the tracking mix, but it's something that I've never thought was such a big deal that I wanted to fix it. But there's a splash cymbal right before verse 1 starts that gets cut off, and I really don't like that it gets cut off. You kind of hear it goes, tss. It almost sounds like he grabs it, which he didn't. It was just the changing of a take. Let's see if we can get a splash cymbal in here to essentially replace that. Now, I should explain this because I've just talked about how there are no samples here, and this is still true, but when we record the acoustic drums, one of the things that we do is that once we've established the sounds and we're sure the mics are going to be where they are, we don't need to move any mics or add any extra mics, Eli hits each drum. Give me a bass drum, give me a snare drum, give me each tom, give me each cymbal. And it's 4 things exactly like this. We are looking for places where we need to maybe replace hits that weren't good, or in this case get cut off because of the editing. Now we've got 3 splashes here, the ZHT splash, the XS splash, and the ZXT splash. I'm going to guess that the one he hit was the XS splash in this case. That's the one that's kind of like the most in reach. So I'm guessing that's probably what he did there. So we're going to import this hit. And then we can actually move this onto tracks that exist within the song so that we can be sure that this will still sound just like everything else in the song, just like that. We can get rid of that right there. And we can come over and we can stick this splash right on where he hit right there. And that should theoretically give us a splash that does not cut off. Now we may want to get rid of this splash hit, the one that we did here, and just leave in this extra one we've put in, because we'll probably still hear that other one cut off. Let's kind of see what that did. It was better, but yeah, I still heard this one cut off. So let's just try cutting it out of there. Yeah, way smoother. Oh yes, Cody's here. Cody says he's watching during his drive home, so if I mention something later about a previous thing, I'm sorry. All good, man. Yeah, glad to have you here. I'm not sure if you saw the previous episodes, but hey, we actually got a first draft done of Poison in the Well, so we're in a new song now. Yes, this is the title track for the album, so this song is called Boundless. Continue on with our context mix here. Oh, that's neat. I don't think I'd heard that in the tracking mix. Does it kind of like whammy up in... Wah-na-na-na-na-na. That's pretty neat. If anybody currently watching is also in our Facebook group called The Making of Boundless, you may have seen me record this guitar solo. This is also the one I posted a video of me practicing because it has a lot of sweeps in it that I just wasn't very solid with at first. So this is that solo. With, of course, an amazing harmony added by Sam, who had no problem with this solo, I should point out. And then there's another guitar solo at the end. Nice. Oh yeah, no worries on that, Cody, at all. That's they're all in a playlist there on the channel, so you can check out anything you missed, which is super awesome. Okay, that gets us to vocals. Now, I think I might have mentioned this at the end of the last one too. This one's a little bit more focused on the male lead vocals. So this one, Majenica's still in this one, but this one is more me than it is her. So we've got the lead track and the double again. So we're kind of doing the same thing we did with Poison in the Well. We want the main track to be the focus. The double is just for beef, if you will, the Wendy's effect. It is not meant to sound like two people singing.
A line of faces moves past. Looking down, they know my name. One by one, they pass me by, sounding all the same. And though it may be painful, know that I'm okay. It seems so far from now, but there will be better days.
think that's everything in this one. So while I'm kind of sorting out volumes into, either a 0.0 or a 0.5, which, again, I should point out, doesn't actually matter. It's just the way I like it. Let's talk about these vocals, how we're kind of looking at these background vocals here. In this case, there's the 2 lead vocals, of course, but with the background vocals, we have, I think this time, 14 vocals, which is surprising. There's only background vocals in the chorus, again, on this particular one. There are quad-tracked ones. There's 3 quad-tracked parts, which quad tracking is pretty typical for me in background vocals anyway. So BG1, I guess I shouldn't have started doing this while I was talking about it, because I kind of want to show you guys what I'm talking about. Let's move over there for a second. Where's my string mic? There it is. Okay. Yes, so if we're just taking a look at vocals here, we got the 2 lead vocals, and then we've got BG1 right here, which is quad-tracked. However, this time it is split between Majennica and I. So it's Majennica and I singing the same part, but we're both doing this kind of like this higher harmony. So this is going to be a really interesting line that we want to toe when we're mixing this, because I want to hear Majennica in there, but there's a reason that I didn't just have her sing all 4 parts. I wanted it to have a little bit more of the edge, like how I sing, but we do need to hear her voice there. So it needs to be a pretty good mix between her and I's voice.
Free now to run in the endless sky. I lose my worries.
So like for now, I'm not hearing her super well.
My tired body left behind me. I feel the sun.
There she is.
As I move beyond these trivial problems. Free now to run. I'm boundless now.
Okay, so then BG3, which is the next thing that pops up, as you can see these little, just sings a single phrase. All 4 of those are me, and it's also not a harmony, it's just the melody. I wanted that part of the melody to spread a little bit more, so it's the quad track. It's this right here.
My tired body left behind me.
And that's all that part sings. And then BG2 is quad tracked. It's all Majennica, all 4 of them, and it just sings the I'm Boundless Now, the part that goes kind of upward instead of down.
I'm boundless now.
Ah, traffic jam, no fun. A harmony making it more diminished. A little bit. It's, this is very weird harmony right here, because the chords are playing add 9. So it's kind of, the harmony is kind of implying that as well. This song is honestly kind of thematically around an add 9. There's a lot of add 9 stuff going in here with that B. And we are talking about like a B5 add 9, really. So we're not hearing the 3 in the guitars. We're playing that stacked, what I hear people say is stacked 5th power chords, which I know why they say that, but it's not really correct. You know what I mean? And then our last 2, just like with the last song, James got in here and sang a little bit of background vocals as well. So he's double tracked and then pushed a little left, a little right. Whoops, sorry. And he's also singing I'm Boundless Now.
I'm boundless now.
Yeah, and he's just singing the melody on that with me. So again, he is adding the Wendy's effect there, if you will. Cody says, yeah, the 9 is what I'm hearing. Yeah, for sure. Yep. Very neat harmonies in this. Another weird thing, this song has a lot of really interesting things about it as far as just how it happened, basically. This was the only song when we sat down to talk about song titles that we did not have a song title for. As I'm not necessarily one that feels like there needs to be a title track on every album. In fact, sometimes I resist it. But this one just felt Right. So this was way after all the other songs were titled, and we had a good idea when we came up with the titles of like the song should be maybe kind of about this sort of a thing. This one, we almost called it Exiled, but we weren't really sure what we wanted to write about within that. But I remember us talking about that. That might have been something, maybe a name Savannah suggested, and James and Sam and I talked about song titles, and that was one that we suggested a lot. Eventually, this felt like it needed to become Boundless. This was also the first one where I felt like writing about the pain of moving on from loss, right? I think I wrote the lyrics for this album in track order. So this would have been the second one I worked on. And that's just what jumped out at me. You know, it was one of those weird things where other people who've written stuff, I'm sure they know exactly what I'm talking about. It's almost like it's not you that came up with the idea. It's like I got nothing. I have no idea what I want to do here. And then like suddenly the idea drops in my head like I'm not the one who put it there. This should be a song about somebody who's moved on kind of reaching back out to their loved ones and saying, it's okay. I'm okay. And there it was. Suddenly there was Boundless. So love that. Love that about this song. Okay, so I think we've got our context mix going. Let's let most of this kind of go by. I might not play the whole thing, but I want to hear bits of it just to make sure that I'm good with what I'm hearing so far. Because then after that, I actually didn't finish putting the volumes all at 0s or 5s. Let's do that. The next thing is then we need to get that -7 reading on all of our submaster and master channels, which if you remember from the Poison in the Well is just a bunch of us listening to the song over and over and pretty much unbalancing it, and then we go back and do another context mix with the master faders rather than the individual faders. So just going through and kind of rounding things to the nearest either 0.0 or 0.5. A lot of this will eventually get adjusted, so we don't need to be too precious about it. -6 there, -6.5 there, -5. Yeah. The vocal and the double is always kind of a weird thing as far as like what do I want these to be a consistent volume from Poison in the Well? My first thought is yes. But then the other thought is, well, if this is different, which looks like this is a difference of 8 decibels, if that's different, it's probably different because I felt it differently, right? So maybe it should be whatever it feels like this song needs rather than, we'll put them all the same as the last one. Yeah, it looks like the BG2 is averaging -13. BG3 is averaging a little lower than that. Let's put BG3 at 14.5. And James's vocals can be at 8. Okay. All right, yeah, there's really no reason not to just go ahead and let the whole thing play from start to finish and start getting everything put at that -7. We might as well do it. Luckily, this song, unlike Poison in the Well, is short. So Poison in the Well is almost 9 minutes long. This one's like 3.5, which is super weird for us. This was a very concise song. So let's go ahead and check out the context mix as it stands. We'll start adjusting stuff until our masters are hitting that -7.
A line of faces moves past. Looking down, they know my name. One by
Okay, I actually forgot something, so I'm going to go ahead and stop it now. But yeah, Cody says 3.5. I didn't think you wrote songs that short anymore. Yeah, too true. Too true. For me, I always write songs to be the length I feel like they want to be. You know what I mean? I write until I feel like it's done. And usually, at least for me, and I think this is because, a lot of my influences also wrote kind of longer songs, even going so far back as the Def Leppard influence. There's not a lot of 3-minute Def Leppard songs, So I tend to feel like they go long, or that they should be long. But in this case, this one felt right short. So what I forgot is that before we get a reading of anything on our master channels, we need to turn any effects off. So all these effects right here need to be gone before we're saying they need to be hitting -7 before they go through all those plugins. Excuse me. There we go.
A line of faces moves past. Looking down, they know my name. One by one, they pass me by. Sad and all the same. And though it may be painful, know that I'm okay. It seems so far from now, but there will be better days. Free now to run in the endless sky. I lose my worries. The pain is gone. My tired body left behind me. I feel the sun as I move beyond these trivial problems. Free now to run. I'm boundless now. Life's mysteries unraveled, understanding absolute truth. The answers have unfolded, nothing to confuse. No material bonds to hold me, no conscious thoughts remain. This defies all description, spirit is sustained. Free now to run in the endless sky. I lose my worries. The pain is gone. My tired body left behind me. I feel the sun as I move beyond these trivial problems. Free now to run. I'm boundless now.
And that's it. Just a little past 3.5. Okay, yeah, so obviously just turning those plugins already kind of unbalanced stuff, but that's okay. Again, we are looking for our masters to hit -7. Okay, we need to pay a bit better attention to the kick and snare. It's that snare fills channel doing something. Our toms hit -13, so those need to go up by 6, it looks like, which would put them at -9. Our overheads came in at 12.5, so that gives us, we need to go up by 5.5, so that would be, well, that would put these right here at 5.5, so that should do that. Backward cymbal is contributing to the drum master. We don't need to worry about that right at the moment. Radio effect is coming in under 7, which is good. It's coming in a surprising amount under 7. Let's go ahead and adjust that just a little bit. Okay, the bass guitar is coming in at 11.5, which would mean we need to go up 4.5. That would give us this being 2.5, I do believe, right? Something about that math seemed a little bit weird, but I guess we'll worry about that later. The guitars came in at 12, so they need to go up by 5. That's nice and easy. Putting them at 8 right there. Okay, the pianos came in at 14.5, so they need to go up 7.5. Let's do it right here. That would put this track right here at just regular old 5. Okay, our strings, rather, came in quite under, which is, that's fine. We actually put a gain plug-in on the master channel in Poison in the Well, so those strings probably pretty much disappeared in that listen through. So they need to come up basically 26, which would put this, actually 25.5 would work really well. If we put this one at 0, that did not work. Some of those ended up going clear up to 6. Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to put those at 0. That gives us a nice, easy balance, and we're going to trust our gain plug-in over there to kind of do the rest. We'll see what the gain plug-in needs to hit on this listen through. All right, our synth came in at 21, which means it needs to come up by 14. Nice and easy there. Our leads came in at 9.5 basically, so they need to come up 2.5, which would put this at -4, just like that. Yep. Our lead vocal came in at, well, it looks like 18, but this is actually down by 6, so it actually came in at 12, which means these need to go up by 5. Stupid math. Yeah, we're actually going to need to, well, let's leave those at 6 for now and just see what happens. The background vocals came in at 10.5, which means they need to go up 3.5, which would give us these coming in right at 11. Oh, of course, that did a whole bunch of weird stuff. Okay, not near as much weird stuff as I thought. But these went up to 10.9 instead of 11. Okay. I'm going to turn everything down now because we are at that point where the mix is going to sound super unbalanced now because we've just turned a bunch of stuff way up. So everything's louder, everything's pretty unbalanced. Let's go down to -8. So I'm going to turn it down for you guys. And we're going to listen again. Make sure everything hit 7 or pretty close. Again, I should point this out because it's been a minute. It doesn't have to be perfectly -7. Just needs to be pretty much -7.
A line of faces moves past. Looking down, they know my name. One by
I love that synth so much. I kind of whammies up into that note. He's got all sorts of neat whammies in that.
Understanding absolute truth. The answers have unfolded, nothing to confuse. No material bonds to hold me, no conscious thoughts remain. This defies all description, spirit is sustained. Free now to run in the endless sky. I lose my worries. The pain is gone. My tired body left behind me. I feel the sun as I move beyond these trivial problems. Free now to run. I'm boundless now.
Awesome. Okay, let's kind of check out and see where everything was. Right, we still need to take care of the snare fill so that that can stay at 7 where it's supposed to be. The toms hit 7. Good, we're going to start turning these off as we know that they're correct. The overhead master hit 7. Okay. You're confused there. The drums master we will deal with later. The bass master hit 7. The guitars master still came in quite a bit under. Interesting. So why would that be? Why did the guitars still come that far under? I must have just done the math wrong on that. So they still need to come up 2.5. So right about now, the highest they're peaking is just as high as my guitar. So if I put my guitar at 7, then that should give us 7 overall. That's interesting. Didn't expect that. The pianos only hit 8. So either something funky is going on or I was doing a lot of incorrect math, which I would not deny if that is the case. The strings came in at 7. Oh, perfect. They shouldn't have. Man, was my math just really screwed up? That's kind of insane. We may not need this gain plugin then. Kind of see where we get on that. Oh yeah, we need to turn the orchestra master off. The synth master also hit 7. Perfect. The leads master also hit 7. Okay, the lead vocals hit 13 plus 6, which is 7. Hit that perfect. It hit this just above. Okay. So if we take these down to 6.5, I should have left this one alone. I don't let this one go under 22. That should make that hit 7. The background vocals also hit 7. Awesome. One more listen and we should have it. Oh, you know what? Let's go ahead and fix the snare fills before we do that. Okay, so just in case I need to explain my snare chain to anybody, I separate the snare channel into 3 channels. Now, I only record a snare top. I've recorded snare bottom a bunch of times, and I've just never gotten it to sound good. I've never turned it up in a mix loud enough that it's there. So I've stopped recording it. The snare top only. But after Eli has recorded it, I go back and do what I call drum processing, where I am separating the hits into 3 categories. Backbeat hits, meaning I want all of these to be 100% consistent. Those hits go through multi-band gating so that we get rid of the cymbal bleed, and also a plugin called the Drum Leveler, which makes everything consistent. Then we go back through and replace any hits that are bad so that all the snares on Backbeat Snare, or this channel that just says snare, are 100% consistent. Every time he hits it, it hits the same peak volume. The snare fills or anything that he does dynamic that are part of fills, that's not just him hitting the snare with one stick in the background. So the snare fills are little quick hits like this, things that do not need to go through that drum leveler and need to stay dynamic. Groove snare, the third category, is basically like ghost notes, anything that's pretty quiet on purpose. Cody says, I never saw a point in bottom mic on the snare. I just shut it off on my drum program too. Yeah. I've seen other people use it, and it makes sense when I see other people use it, but every time I've tried it, I've either not used it or put it in so little that it didn't really make that big of a difference in the sound. So it's one less channel you have to record. So anyway, because these snare fills are not in that drum leveler, it is possible then for certain hits to cross that threshold of -7 because he's hitting things dynamically. We need to make sure nothing goes above -7, but we do want most of the track to maintain the volume that it currently is. So we're going to go through each thing on the snare fills track and make sure that if there is anything that goes above -7, and we know there's at least one thing, we turn just that hit down so that we maintain our ceiling, essentially. Okay, now what you can watch here is over here to the left side of the screen, it says snare fills here, and we're looking at this peak meter, this green number right here. Right now it says -10.1. We don't want that to go above 7. Okay, so it said 9.7 there. We're good. How about this one? Yep, -10. We're good there. Somewhere there's something that hits 5.8. There you go. It's the very first hit of that fill right there. You can even kind of hear it. It kind of jumps out of the speaker there. So let's turn just that first hit down. And we want to just cap it at 7, right? So if we go down 1.2, that should get us where we want to go. Yeah. Now when we come back to do volume automation, we can make sure that that fill doesn't sound weird because one of the hits was turned down a little bit. I don't think it will. But let's just go ahead, even though we found it, let's just go make sure there's no other ones. Okay. Yep. I think we're good. I'm surprised I didn't put that one on groove snare. Yep. Nice. All good. Yep. Hit 8 there, so we came close, but I think we're good. So that should fix that. Another really interesting thing about this particular song, I've never had to do this before, but I'm really glad that I know it's possible now in the case of an emergency later on. This song was the only one that was written without Eli there. We tried something different for Boundless than we did with Paramnesia, where there was basically a writing team. Me, Sam, James, and Eli got together and wrote these songs, and at the same time recorded the real official drum track as we were writing. There was only one session where Eli couldn't make it. I don't remember what happened, but we went ahead and wrote the song. And then the following week, Eli came in like an hour or two early and recorded this drum track, and then we wrote another one as well. But after we recorded the drum track, we decided that the song was too slow. And that's usually really bad news, because that means start over. You know what I mean? When you're recording with real drums, that means start over. You can't just pull the BPM up and the drums do it too. But because of the way I process drums, I do actually snap everything to the grid. Now we could go in a million times about whether or not that's dehumanizing it or whatever. At least the way I do it, I personally don't think it is. Let's avoid the rant there. But because we use flex time to snap everything to the grid, it means that the computer searched out transients, i.e. every time Eli hit anything on the drums, it put a little marker there, and we moved it to the grid. And because of those markers, we were able to pull the BPM up a little. You don't want to overdo it or else it definitely sounds computerized. I think we only increased the speed of this one by like 5 BPM. It was a small change, but it just needed a little energy. It needed a little push. And because all those markers had been snapped to the grid, they remained snapped to the grid when the grid moved a little faster. And bam, we didn't have to re-record anything. It was fine. Only time in my career I've ever had to do that, but it was really handy to know that that works. If for some reason in an emergency situation we need to push the volume of something even though the drums have already been recorded, we can push it, as long as it's not much, we can push it a little faster. So that's super cool about this. Still Eli's original awesome take, but pushed just a little bit faster. Other than the intro. I think we left the intro the same. Yeah. Okay, there's proof right there. The original song was recorded at 170. We pushed it up to 175, other than the intro, which was fine. So the intro remained unaffected. The rest of the song we pushed about 5 beats per minute faster. Somewhere there is still a demo of it at the original speed, and it sounds really ploddy and slow. Okay, so now we need to let the whole song play again to get our remaining balances. We're not going to hear very much here. We're going to hear kick and snare. We're going to hear the rhythm guitars. We're going to hear the pianos, and we're going to hear the lead vocals. And I think that's it. We're just trying to get those things to -7.
A line of faces moves past. Looking down, they know my name.
This sounds ridiculous.
One by one, they pass me by. Sounding all the same. And though it may be painful, know that I'm okay. It seems so far from now, but there will be better days.
our guitars still did not hit 7. There's no reason they shouldn't have. There's no compression active on the master channel that should be stopping them from going up by the amount I'm turning them up. That's super weird. Anyway, our kick and snare hit 7, which we would have expected. That'd be odd if they didn't. The pianos also hit 7. I think we're going to leave the guitars where they are. That's super weird that it still didn't go up as far as it should have, but it's close enough to 7. It's 7.6. It's close enough. Our vocals hit 6.8, which is a little bit hot, but it's close enough. No worries there. Okay, so now we need to recontextualize, if you will. I need to turn that back up so that you guys can actually hear stuff pretty well again. There we go. We are now going to do another context mix, but using the master sliders this time rather than the individual channel sliders. Now that we've got each one at -7, we need a relative volume for that master channel so that we can hear everything fairly well, again, mixed enough to start going back through and making decisions about how things sound, which should be a lot shorter than in Poison in the Well since we're using all of the same presets from Poison in the Well. All right. We're going to start with just the kick and snare on again. We're going to bring in our overheads, then we're going to bring in the toms, and then we're just going to keep on bringing stuff in one by one until it's all back in there. Let's go ahead and start it at the verse, though. Oh, I don't want nudge on. What is happening? Another way these things are acting weird. Boy, these things are acting super weird. It's like none of the buttons are doing what they're supposed to be doing. Whoa, how did we open? We opened a plugin. Now, we better restart these things before we mess something up. Okay, and we're doing that thing from yesterday now where all the screens are dark. All right, does anybody remember what we did to fix this in the last stream? Well, I did that last time too. I opened the wrong thing. Here we go. I do believe that we had to delete both of them and then basically reinstall them as if they were new. Now can I do the thing? Yes. Okay. I tell you what, these things are super awesome, and I love having the physical slider to manipulate, and I love watching them move by themselves, but these things are incredibly buggy pieces of equipment, and honest truth, I have had almost nothing but issues with them, and they are not cheap. I'm not sure that I would suggest any of you go out and buy these if you were thinking about it. I hate to say that, because again, there are a lot of things about them that I love, but they are incredibly buggy. There, okay, now we can get back to work here. I knew that was going to be too loud. I just wanted to hear it.
In the endless sky, I lose my worries. The pain is gone. My tired body left behind me. I feel the sun as I move beyond these trivial problems. Free now to run. I'm boundless now.
Almost there, getting some reverbs in there.
Nothing to confuse. No material bonds to hold me. No conscious thoughts we. No material bonds to hold. Nothing to confuse. No material bonds to hold me. No con. Unfolded. Nothing to confuse. Bonds to hold me, no conscious thoughts remain. This defies all description, spirit is sustained. Free now to run. Life's mystery.
Okay, so keep in mind, we're still not even really back where we were with Poison in the Well, right? We don't have the parallel compression on the drums yet, so the drums aren't kind of like popping as well. And then we've also still got everything that we put on our master channels last time muted. So lots of compression, multi-pression, the EQ cuts that make everything kind of slot together. Not all of them, but a bunch of them are not currently active. So that's something that we need to keep in mind too. It's okay. Yes, we started with all of the effects that were in Poison in the Well. No, not everything is slotting up in together yet. So we're getting to that point. Okay, let's keep on moving here. So now that we're back at a point that we've got a fairly good context, we've got everything back in there, we can hear everything pretty well, we're hitting pretty near where we want to hit. We want this to also say -7. This is our drums and instruments master. And then we want this to be right around -5. So this is a little low, but that's okay where we're at. We are at the point where we want to turn on the FGX2, which is the limiter. So again, just in case anybody wasn't here for previous explanations of why this is here and also what it does, limiting is, the short version is that it brings you up to industry standard loudness. It is a compressor that has a hard ceiling that you cannot go past. So you set the ceiling at industry standard, and then you use the gain knob to turn your song up, and when the louder parts hit that ceiling, they start getting compressed and stop getting louder, while the quieter parts continue getting louder. This is industry standard to use, and most of what we are doing in the mix process is making everything still sound okay despite this thing being on. It's kind of a weird thing. Now, this normally goes at the very end of a mastering chain, and that will be the case for this as well. Mastering is a separate process to mixing. We did not master Poison in the Well. Before we finish mixing this, after we finish mixing this, we will turn this off and export it without it. The reason we mix with it on is because we want to have a good idea of what the mastering process is going to do to the song. By definition, limiting destroys dynamics. That's literally what it's doing. The louder parts hit the ceiling and stop getting louder, while the quieter parts continue to get louder until they're almost the same volume, or more than even. I guess it can't be more than, but almost the same or the same as the loud parts, those quieter parts. So we mix with this on to make sure that if something is intentionally quiet, we turn it down until it remains quiet. So we're not destroying our dynamics in the music by having that limiter on. But we're at the point now where we want it on. It's going to make the mix a whole lot louder for me, for you guys, for everybody, and we're going to be able to hear at least a little bit of what the mastering process is going to do to this. Mastering is more than limiting, but that's the big change right there. So we get a good idea of what the mastering process is going to do to our mix and make changes accordingly. Like I said, that limiter does get turned off before this gets exported. So now that that's on, we want to go back through and start doing our sound detail. Now, a lot of this work has been done for us because most of this should be the same as we had it in Poison in the Well. All of those presets have been moved over to here. So we should have a pretty good starting point, but there are a lot of elements of this song that are different to Poison in the Well. It's in a different key. It's in a lower key. James and I spend a lot of time, and Dad as well, down on the low B string in this one. Which means we may need to adjust. We may have a lot more issues in that lower frequency. Down even like kind of at the bottom of the low mids, we may have more issues there because we're in that lower key. We're using different strings. A lot of things are kind of different about that. And also, the song's different. It's got a different feel to it. It's got a different theme. The meaning behind it is different. Lots of these things may need to change, but we want to make sure. We don't need to change just for change's sake. There's no reason to start from scratch. We need to make sure everything's sounding good. So our first order of business, starting back at the top with the bass drum. Does the bass drum still sound good? I'm thinking yes. We might as well check the snare drum with it as well. I do have some snare reverb in there, but it's not popping yet. Keep in mind again that we do not have the parallel compression on yet. We will in a minute. We want to make sure the bass and the snare still sound good.
A line of faces moves past. Looking down, they know my name. One by one, they pass me by. Sounding all the same. And though it may be painful.
Yeah, I'm pretty good with those. I think they still sound pretty good. What we're doing here, the bass drum gets an instance of virtual mix rack, which is kind of doing the heavy lifting on shaping the sound. We've got two different EQs, a compressor or a distressor, really, but doing compression. A little bit of kind of like color EQ, and then, a trim knob, which is level matching. Oh, I almost forgot. There is also saturation at the beginning of that chain. So level matching with the trimmer. We then go into an EQ where we are high passing everything above 35. We are boosting a little bit of 60 and cutting a little bit of 80, giving room for the bass drum and the bass guitar to talk to each other without arguing, if you will. I shouldn't say so. I hate metaphors. That was... I need to come up with a better way of saying that sort of stuff. Say what you mean. After that, we hit multi-pression. Now, this is one plugin we want to check here. This right here is making sure that when Eli hits the bass drum pretty normally, it's not doing anything, but when he starts doing double bass, because we did one bass drum, the low frequencies tend to start building up the more bass drums he hits in quick succession. This multipressor is trying to keep all of those low frequencies the same regarding whether he hit one or a bunch. So we do want to kind of check on that. Should be the same, but it isn't always. So you can see it dances just a little tiny bit when he's hitting one thing. It's almost nothing, not even 1 decibel of reduction when he's hitting one thing. But when he starts like those little ba-da-da-da that he was doing there, suddenly it was doing more. So good with that. On our snare drum, we also have virtual mix rack, again, doing most of the heavy lifting, saturation, couple of EQs, the distressor again, a little bit of color EQ, trimming to level match. Going after that, we have our own EQ where we are high passing everything above 148. Because our snare's fundamental note sits right around 200, so we're getting rid of any information lower than that. This also would help mic bleed if we had any on this. That's already been multiband gated out. We're also cutting a little bit at 200, which is one of our mid-range bandpass things. We can go ahead and leave that on there. That same effect on all 3 of the snare channels, although the snare fills and groove snare also have a gate trying to get rid of, since those didn't go through multiband gating, trying to get rid of any cymbal bleed that are in that. Snare reverb, good at the moment. The next thing we want to look at is the kick and snare master, which has an instance of Nealeigh's plugin, the Smash and Grab, which we are using to compress the bass drum and the snare drum kind of as a singular instrument. I don't always do this. Usually I only do this if our kick and snare is peaking above 7, even though none of the individual channels did. The only reason that would happen is because there's a point where he hit the kick and the snare together and the combined sound was too loud. I don't think that's happening in this song. Doesn't seem to be. So we may actually not even need this. Let's leave this turned off. If we notice it later, we can turn it back on. But there's really no reason for it to be there. It shouldn't even activate unless there's a sound loud enough to go above -7. Our toms are getting leveled, drum leveler at the top here, which is a form of compression and gating that puts them all up here. So it's working to try and get every one of his hits. Not 100% consistent. As you can see, the compression set to 80%, so it's not destroying dynamic in his playing. The virtual mix rack on Tom's aggro, which I just love for Tom's, and then our own channel EQ for each one, where we're getting rid of low-end information underneath the fundamental. We're boosting the fundamental, cutting a little bit of boxiness, pushing a little bit of stick hit. Same thing across all the drums, just moved to suit each drum's frequency. I'm not hearing anything wrong with any of these toms. I think they all sound good. We can check them just to make sure. So this fill we're about to hit has rack toms 1 and 2. Fine there. Here we have rack toms 2 and 3. Yep, okay, where's the hit a floor tom at? Floor tom out here right before we go into the chorus 2. Yep. They might actually be a hair quiet. I'm going to turn the toms master up a little bit. We also have reverb on that. Now, these effects on the toms master we do want on. So first off, we have a multipressor, which is just working to make sure that there aren't any particularly hard frequencies jumping out at us, basically. So this fill that we just heard is actually kind of a good example here. He's hitting rack tom 2 and the floor tom at the same time, so we want to make sure that the combined hit on both of those drums isn't any louder in any particular frequency range. Yeah, so it was a little hefty in the bass range. You could see that our number 1 jumped a little bit when he did that. Whereas there with the 1 tom hit, nothing. That's good. I think this is set where we want it. We also have another instance of Nealeigh Smash and Grab here, which is just looking to make the overall volume of any time he hits 2 drums together not louder than when he's hitting 1. So we should see, if we look at a singular tom hit, maybe it jumps a little bit, but not very much. Yep, and then over here when he hits these 2 toms together, we should see it jump a little more, probably not past -3. Yeah, let's make sure this hit is also not hitting too hard. So that one reached almost -3. So good on that. Got both of those turned on. On our overheads, We have channel EQs on each one of these. Now, these have been on the whole time anyway. We are high-passing everything. We're getting rid of anything below 600 hertz. Now, a lot of mixers use overhead channels to make up kind of the core sound of their drums, and then the close mics add beef. That's not really how I do it. I use the overheads for cymbal mics and attack on the drum heads. I don't really want the tone of the drums. So if we listen to... What happens if I hit my... Okay, there. So you should still be hearing me now. What else is soloed? That was a weird set of things to be soloed. Okay. So if we hear those overhead mics by themselves... So you can hear we're not really hearing much bass drum. We're getting some snap of the snare drum. We're mostly hearing cymbals. We're also hearing proof that we're using real drums and not any sort of triggers or samples. That's definitely just a bunch of mics over a real drum set. Right. So all of those are good. We are cutting a little bit of the hi-hat mic for harshness. The ride cymbal mic is just the high pass, and then the two overheads is the high pass plus a little bit of extra top end just for some like little sheen and brilliance. On the overhead master, we have another smash and grab here, adding some saturation and also compression. Again, we shouldn't be seeing this hit much above 3. We want it to be getting close to 3, but not really above. Yeah, so on the harder snare hits, it jumps up to 3, but it might have gone above 3 a little bit on one of those hits, but it's not staying above 3. Let's just make sure it's still level matched. Yeah, yep. Smash and grab does have a little weird thing with turning it on and off, where you sometimes you'll suddenly hear bits of the actual song. Not sure why. I'm sure there's a reason in there. Okay, now we get to the parallel compression, where we have the same set of virtual mix rack that we were using on Poison in the Well. This is Drum Crusher 1, which is basically doing a lot of saturation and really serious compression. I mean, it's pushing on this hard. What parallel compression does is adds a lot of snap and attack and punch to our drums. If you listen to it on its own, it sounds pretty bad. We actually do kind of need to hear it on its own for this, just to make sure that our mix is okay. We're really targeting the snare. This is going to be quiet, by the way. Yeah. We want mostly snare in this signal. You can hear a little bit of cymbals and bass drum, but it's mostly snare. Oh yeah, I want to hear that tom fill again. Yeah, I'm good with that mix. And then we mix that underneath the uncompressed drum signal to make it a lot more punchy. So I've gone ahead and put it at the level that it was at for Poison in the Well, but we may adjust it. I'm thinking that I don't want the drums to sound a whole lot different from song to song, so I'm okay if this just works as is. We're just going to leave it that way. But if it needs adjusted up or down, not hard to do. We are going to want to turn it off for this intro. You know what? I just remembered something that I kind of forgot about. This is probably not the correct value for where these should be, because we want this to be equal to wherever our kick and snare master was in Poison in the Well. We better take a look at that. How loud is the kick and snare master in Poison in the Well? Okay. -3. There we go. Okay. It was at -3. Not sure if my mic was activated while the other thing was up. So we actually need to put this at -16.5. That is the actual balance of the poison in the well drums. And we're going to want to turn it off during that intro.
Looking down, they know my name. One by one, they pass me by. Sad and all the same. And though it may be painful, know that I'm okay. It seems so far from now, but there will be better days. Free now to run.
Yep, I'm good with that. Okay. Now that we have all of the elements in the drums that we're intending, it's all mixed the way that we want it to. It's a bit loud because the drums crush increases the signal. We now need to make sure that our drums master is hitting -7. As you can see, it's already peaking up to -6.5. So we need to adjust the submasters and that drums crush by however much we need to make sure that that drums master is not going above 7. Then we're going to activate our Blackcell audio drum bus on this, which kind of glues the drums all together, and then we move on into the other instruments. So let's take another listen to the whole song front to back with the knowledge the drums are going to be a little bit hot, and see where we're peaking at.
A line of faces moves past. Looking down, they know my name.
we hit -4 right there, and we were doing pretty good. We were above, but we were doing pretty good until that same snare fill that we turned down that first hit on suddenly peaked it clear up to 4. But I'm good with 4. We can take this. So we're going to take all of this stuff down by 3 so that we hit -7. We're going to turn on our drum bus, which we just need a level match. Now, we already know, because I happen to be looking at it, that snare fill in break 2 is the loudest part of this drum track. So let's just kind of see where does this hit with this on.
Life's mysteries on
6.8, not too bad. Where are we hitting over here? 6.4. So we are coming in a little bit hot to the end chain. Where are we at here? Let's just go ahead and we could probably leave it, but let's take it down another 0.2 decibels. So that should theoretically get our drum bus right at 7.
unraveled, understanding absolute truth.
Except I didn't put it back far enough.
Life's mysteries unraveled, understanding absolute truth. The answers have unfolded.
Nice. Okay. I do think now that I'm hearing this with everything, with the drum mix kind of sitting where it's actually going to, that we have a little bit too much snare reverb. Pretty sure it's the same value that it was in Poison in the Well, but we might as well make sure that if it feels like too much, we back it off a little.
Fast, looking down, they know my name. One by one, they pass me by, sounding all the same. And though it may be painful, know that I'm okay. It seems so far from now, but there will be better days.
A little bit too much overheads.
Free now to run in the endless sky. I lose my worries. The pain is gone. My tired body left behind me. I feel the sun.
Okay, yep, we're getting there. Now, oftentimes I will rebalance everything because we've changed the drums quite a lot. You know what I mean? So sometimes everything does need a little bit of a rebalance after this. I was kind of debating just there. Looks like I never set our master channels to 0.0 or 0.5. Yep, sure didn't. Let's take another listen there and just see if for the sake of our context mix, if the other stuff should come up or down in relation to the drums.
Now to run in the endless sky. I lose my worries. The pain is gone. My tired.
I think it's okay. I do think, just like with Poison in the Well, we're going to run into some interesting EQ things with the orchestra. I think it might be the orchestra that's kind of like, again, kind of adding a lot of that just sort of like flappy noise in there that's making things seem a little muddled, which is something that we're going to want to solve with EQ when we get there. Let's show that chorus again and try muting the orchestra and just see what happens.
Free now to run in the endless sky. I lose my worries.
Yeah, so just a lot of that kind of like low mid taken up space is in that orchestra. Okay, so continuing on, we don't have too much more time, but we've got a little bit more. to our bass. I'm pretty happy with how the bass sounds here. We've got compression, flattening everything out, going into a virtual mix rack, which has all the normal saturation, EQ, compression, level matching. Then we're going into an EQ here, where we've done a little bit of extra stuff. There was a weird kind of like honky frequency in Poison in the Well that we got rid of here. It may not be necessary, but we've got high pass, getting rid of stuff below 35, cutting at 60 to help let the bass drum sit there, boosting at 80, this is where the bass sits, cutting at 115, a little bit of boxiness. Let's check this this cut right here at 1540 and see if that's still, do we want to leave that out for this song?
Free now to run in the endless sky. I lose my worries. The pain.
Okay. Still wasn't convinced. It's not doing as much in this song as it was in Poison in the Well, but some of those like A string notes get a little bit weird in that kind of high mid range, and unless that cut is there, so we can leave that. And then of course we've got multi-pression doing basically the same exact thing that it was doing for the bass drum. We're just making sure that if he's hitting a lot of low notes or any notes in any of these 4 frequency ranges, that the balance of bass, low mid, high mid, and high kind of stay the same no matter what he's playing. Looks like we actually boosted the low end a little bit. I kind of remember doing that nearer to the end of the Poison in the Well mix. We also have a channel EQ here on the bass guitar master, which is interesting. It is a boost at 280 and a cut at 350. So we'll go ahead and turn that on, but I'm not sure yet if we'll do that. This is all of these little things that were because of the mid-range bandpass are things that we're going to want to review when we get to the mid-range bandpass for this song. Just because they were beneficial in Poison in the Well does not mean they will be beneficial here. They might be. Now that we've turned it on, let's just see what changes about the bass signal.
Free now to run in the endless sky. I lose my worries. The pain is gone. My tired body left.
Not hearing a big difference regardless of whether it's on or off right at the moment. So if that's doing something helpful, we'll know a little bit better when we do the mid-range bandpass. I think I liked it a hair better with it off, but again, it wasn't really changing all that much. So let's leave it off for now. We'll come back. Moving into our rhythm guitars. We actually have a lot of rhythm guitar tracks in this song, but most of them aren't doing anything. These first 2 right here are literally the only thing that's on them is the backwards B that fades in right near the beginning of the song. This right here. That's all that's on those. So those are good as is. I just remembered. Let's go ahead and turn the parallel compression for the drums off during that intro. I think I want it to fade in pretty much at the exact same rate that the drums master does. So as the drums come into full quality, they get that punch. But they're meant to sound a bit lo-fi in the beginning, so we don't necessarily want that big, huge punch in the radio effect. Okay, yes. I think I'm also going to turn that backwards cymbal down just a hair. And those 2 guitars we were just talking about can actually come up just a hair. Now this is something we're going to focus a little bit harder on in the volume automation stage, but since it's occurring to me now, let's just go ahead and do it now. It's also something we're probably going to want to affect and make a little quieter. That's something the limiter is pushing up to be the same loudness as the main part of the song, and I think we don't want that. I think we want that to be quieter. Cody asks, we're using a phaser in the intro or a flanger. Yes, we are. So mid-range bandpass on the drums to make it sound super lo-fi, and then yes, also a flanger. And this is just Logic's built-in flange. It's called warm jet flange. yeah, I love it. Not something we would normally do that, but it felt right in this one. Then, of course, after those two backwards Bs, we've got our 4 main guitar tracks here. Same thing as Poison in the Well and for the rest of the album, too. James double-tracked, me double-tracked, James in the left, James in the right, me in the left, me in the right. Big wall of guitars means that even if you're listening and you're only hearing the left speaker or only hearing the right speaker, you're still going to hear all the guitar harmonies and stuff. And then after that, we have a singular track of me, which is the guitar in the intro, which is just a little bit right. And that I think that one's already good. We do want to check on each one of these. We have a channel EQ and a multipressor. The backwards Bs even still have the Archetype Petrucci plugin on, actually, at the moment. The channel EQ isn't doing anything other than high-passing low frequencies out of both guitars. The multipressor is really what we want to pay attention to. We bypassed everything except for the low, which is 200 hertz and down, and this is targeting palm-muted parts. So we don't really want this to be moving very much during the normal, just like playing stuff. But if we start palm muting, we want to see that start to go down. Now, this could be different because this song is mostly using that low B. So we want to make sure that even just like during normal hits, that we're not compressing that low end, because there should be more low end in this song than there was in Poison in the Well.
Free now to run in the endless sky. I lose my worries. The pain is gone.
Yeah, perfect. So it's not really moving much when we're hitting normal stuff, but the second we palm mute, it starts pressing down harder. That was James's guitar we were looking at. Let's check mine and make sure mine's also doing that.
The endless sky, I lose my worries. The pain is gone.
Yep, all good there. Now, we had a lot of stuff going on here on our Rhythm Guitar Master. So first off, another multipressor, this time multipressing all 4 frequency ranges. We're again targeting palm mute with the low end just to make sure that if the combination of all 4 guitars palm muting at once builds up bass frequencies, we push it back down. And then we're multipressing the other frequencies just for general consistency. Let's just kind of look at what this is doing. I'd say that's pressing a little too hard on the upper frequencies.
The pain is gone. My tired body left behind me. I feel the sun as I move beyond these trivial problems. Free now to run. I'm boundless now.
Okay, after that we have regular compression right here, and this is again just for general consistency. This is in dual mono, so we are compressing the left and right channels individually, using the same settings for both compressors, but compressing the channels individually just to try and make everything consistent. We are not looking for this to move very much. Again, this is mostly a safety net compressor. So if this is jumping up to that 5 or even much above like 2, we want to turn this down a little.
And though it may be painful, know that I'm okay. Free now to run in the endless sky.
Okay, just doing some level matching there. Following that, we have a channel EQ, which is doing some stuff that the mid-range bandpass. My gosh, my brain just broke right there. Was telling us that we needed. Let's just kind of check and see what it does. Again, we won't know really if this is the same stuff we'll need until we get to that mid-range bandpass.
Tired body left behind me. I feel the sun as I'm.
Okay, I'd say preliminarily that is doing good things just based on what the ears are hearing. One more channel EQ here that we added right near the end of Poison in the Well. A little boost right at 2700 to try and give the guitars a little bit more grit, if you will.
As I move beyond these trivial problems, free now.
Yep, I'm good with that at the moment. All right, so I have got a student at 6:30, which is here in just a few minutes, so let's go ahead and wrap it up. We're at a good wrap-up spot right here. So when we come back, we are going to continue doing what we're doing right now, sound detailing, which for this song at least has been more about checking what we set up in Poison in the Well more than it is like trying out presets and stuff like we did last time. So moving quicker, but already this one is sounding really awesome. It's huge. When we listened to this at the end of the last episode, it was funny. It was funny for me. I hope it was funny for you guys. We had just finished listening to our first draft of Poison in the Well, this huge stuff with all this work put into it and the drums punching you right in the face and everything nice and present. And then we jumped to the tracking mix of this and it was quiet and kind of weak and nothing felt like it was like smashing. There was no energy. So it was pretty funny to hear that. So to hear it like this now is already starting to pump me up for getting this one done and moving on and hearing the rest of the album like this too. Sounds awesome so far. So all of the normal closing remarks, of course, incoming. I want to thank everybody who took even a second of their time to watch any of this, to hang out. Again, Cody, thank you for the interaction in here. I always love when you're in here to talk back and forth. It's always neat to interact with anybody who jumps in the comments. If you're watching right now and you've never thrown anything in the chat before, please feel free to do so in future episodes. I like to hang out. It's part of the reason we're doing this live. You know what I mean? Both to be a little bit educational, to show the process of this album being made, and also just to kind of hang out with everybody. You know, why not? We AfterWinter doesn't play live. We don't get a lot of direct interaction with our fans, so it's awesome to talk to anybody who's willing to sit and listen and hang out. Yes, Cody says good stuff today. Have a good night, broski. Yes, you too. Thank you, man. Absolutely. So we will be back, definitely not this weekend, but hopefully sometime next week. I would like to continue getting in at least a little bit of stream every single day, but I it's just hard to tell. I wish there was a really consistent time to do this, but at the moment it's just when I know I'm going to have like an hour and a half or so that I can actually dig in a little bit. So hopefully you guys will come check out the next one whenever that is. I will be posting links on social media as always, and then we will continue moving on. So one more time, thank you all for taking the time to check this out. I really appreciate it. Everybody in the band really appreciates it, and we will see you guys next time.